And so we stay with this particular story now. And so what's happening is that the Council for the Aggrieved Workers, that is for the Electoral Commission, who petitioned President Akufo-Addo to impeach Madam Charlotte Osei, who is the chairperson of the commission, says that he will not make the names of the petitioners available as being demanded by the Council for the EC chair. According to lawyer Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman, he will not make the names of petitioners available to the committee to be constituted. He will only make the names available to the committee that will be constituted to look into the claims.
Some workers of the commission have petitioned the President, Akufo-Addo, to begin impeachment processes against the chairperson. The group, calling itself Concerned Staff, accused Charlotte Osei of misconduct, citing breaches of some provisions of the Constitution regarding her office, conduct and duties. The petition bordered on various allegations of breach of procurement laws, incompetence and bias. But the solicitors of Charlotte Osei wrote back to the Council of the Concerned Staff of the EC, demanding the full disclosure of the names of the so-called Concerned Staff of the Electoral Commission. This, according to her counsel, is to enable Charlotte Osei to commence legal action against them for the defamation. But Counsel for Aggrieved Workers of the Electoral Commission, Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman, says this can only be given to a constituted committee set up to look into the claims.
Certain allegations have been made, and the petition has been submitted in accordance with Article 146.3 of our 1992 Constitution. And as soon as the appropriate body is constituted to look into the matter, we are ready to submit our evidence, and the parties involved will make themselves available to be heard, and therefore this matter will be tried in an appropriate forum.
Lawyer Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman also asserted the matter could not have been addressed using the Commission's internal structures.
I think if that was possible, it could have been done a long time ago. So sometimes some of these things, certainly if it could have been resolved, I think that we all believe in reconciliation and arbitration, and therefore if matters could be resolved, I don't think we can prolong the matter to where we are. But I suspect it is not a matter that can just be resolved, because whatever it is, the appropriate bodies will look at it. I believe if the appropriate body is set up, the appropriate body is to determine whether there is a prima facie case or whether the petition is a frivolous one. And once that is determined, then we proceed. We are on the firm ground that we are not submitting a frivolous application.
The presidency has since acknowledged receipt of the petition.
Let's stay on this particular story a while longer. We've been joined on the phone line by a former director of elections at the Electoral Commission, Mr. Albert Kofi Ahin. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, and good afternoon to the listeners as well.
Right. Should the go-ahead be given by the Chief Justice for the processes of impeachment to commence, who takes over as the chair of the Electoral Commission in the interim when already a commissioner in charge of finance and operations, that is Madam Amankwa, and one other director, both of who are senior management officers, have been asked by IOCO to step aside?
To be honest with you, I don't want to talk about the EC incident now because I'm not well abreast with what is going on. I just came in from WA, and I would want to read and know exactly what is going on before I contribute. You know, Kodo is a board, and you need to have a lot of contacts here and there. I don't want to comment on this now. If you please allow me, maybe in about a day or two, you can find out from me. I don't want to comment on it now.
All right, but with these I mean, you have been in the position of the Electoral Commission, you know, as in a senior management person. When some of these internal wranglings are there, and this is actually at the very top of the Commission, how does that affect the day-to-day activities of the Commission?
Yeah, to be honest with you, from my personal point of view, it doesn't bode well for the image of the Commission. It is not at all something pleasant. And I hope this will be resolved as early as possible for the Commission to have its role, you know, to play. Because it is an independent body, supposed to be neutral here and there, but if there are these wranglings to do with the administration, I don't think that's a good sign. No.
Well, you say you are not very much abreast with the current developments, but there are those who are asking that, looking at the fact that a petition has been brought against the chair of the commission, how does that show to the rest of the world that there really aren't problems within the rank and file of the commission, or are there?
Yes, of course, with this revelation, it tells you all is not well within the rank and file and within the head of the commission. Vis-a-vis within the commission, itself, the board itself. It tells you something is not going right there. I cannot pinpoint exactly what is happening because I've not been following these things now. But I don't think it's good for the top to have these problems, coming out as of now.
Okay. And the persons who are calling themselves the concerned staff of the Electoral Commission, will you agree with those who are calling for their names and faces to be made known?
Well, if you think that somebody has done something untoward, there's a section that is saying these things. So why do you want to hide? I mean, if you have your facts right, what is the point in hiding? There's no point in hiding. I believe we are doing the right thing. Why should you dodge? You don't have to dodge.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Ahin, for speaking with us. Albert Kofi Ahin is a former Director of Operations at the Electoral Commission. And certainly, this development has taken different dimensions, especially those that have dropped some political inkling into it. And one such person is Kamal Dean. He's a Nasarawa coordinator of the New Patriotic Party. And they are asking that the names and faces of the persons who have petitioned the president be made public. He said this on New Day earlier today.
Clearly, like I said, you have the right to petition. You have the right to complain or to, if you like, throw allegations. But who are you? Because to have come out to say concerned workers of EC, how many workers do you have at the Electoral Commission? Who are those concerned workers? Is it all the workers of EC who are petitioning? If it is so, then we say workers of EC and we all come to hold a press conference, call press and say we are making these allegations against, as it were, our chairperson, and we think she's not doing X, Y, Z right. And therefore, the president should look at it, CJ should look at it, establish a prima facie case, and maybe let her go through the procedure of removal, if only she's supposed to go through that. Just be bold enough to tell us who you are. I mean, it's so important.
All right, so definitely various angles are coming out as a result of this story. TV3 will keep you posted on every other angle that will emerge from this, and also monitor what government's response will be in the coming days and keep you posted as well. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's turn our attention to some other stories now. Tempests flared up on the floor of Parliament over the special prosecutor bill which was laid on Tuesday. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak said 24 hours after the bill was laid, MPs still did not have copies of it. But a response from the majority leader did not go down well with the Minority Chief Whip.
Minority Chief Whip raised concerns that the office of the Special Prosecutor Bill, which was brought to the House under a certificate of urgency, did not appear to be so, since MPs have since not been given copies of the bill 24 hours after it had been laid.
I want to move that this Honorable House should rescind its decision of laying the paper yesterday, simply because we do not have sufficient copies that needed to be distributed to the whole House.
Mr. Speaker, people should respect me. It's a chief whip. It's a chief whip. So I will not proceed further. But Mr. Speaker, he's totally wrong. What he's saying has no bearing on it.
But the Minority Chief Whip complained the majority leader's utterances are oftentimes offensive.
We are colleagues here, and that's why the standard order says that we should treat each other with respect and call each other as honorable members. If you get up and even if someone has gone wrong and you're going to correct him, the choice of words should be honorable, not to throw words around and say that because I'm a honorable, I'm the minority whip, you are holding on to this. I thought that was not fair to me.
I have no regrets. I'm Tell me which language I've used that was insulting or abusive. Tell me. You can't, Mr. Speaker, you can't get up and be speaking on emotions.
Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu moved in to defend his chief whip.
Where are the copies? Where is the agency for which you were suspending our rules and wanting the nation to believe? This side of the House, we are all ready and prepared for a special prosecutor on the basis that it runs on the merits of the laws of Ghana through process.
The Speaker ruled that since the minority chief whip was not the one who moved the motion on Tuesday, his appeal lacked competence.
The clerks should ensure that members are given copies by the close of day today. That is my order.
But the minority side insisted the Speaker ascertains the matter.
My wish will be that the House stands at ease for 30 minutes so that you do the ascertainment and we come back and know the status of the bill before we adjourn.
The majority leader later moved that the House be adjourned, but there was no secondment from the minority side. The Speaker went ahead to put the question for adjournment.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say no. I think the ayes have it.
Let's stay on that kind of banter, political banter and political disagreements, and go to the headquarters of the National Democratic Congress, where a press conference is currently ongoing to give their own assessment of the 6 months of Nana Akufo-Addo's government. So, Kofi Potofie, who is the national chair of the party, is addressing the media as we speak.
As we ask to proceed on it, you know too well who has replaced him. You know too well who has replaced him. And it is not good for us in this country at all. If Mr. Abe has done wrong, he should go on leave. He must be dealt with because he has done wrong. But if you keep shifting those things and doing them, go to GRA. It's corruption. People who went to the customs people to clear things and wanted to, clear their things through underhand dealings. The officials who were working for this country, who stood gallantly and said, no, we won't do that one. They have all been sent on leave. They've all been sent home. Are we going to be courageous to fight for this country when there's wrongdoing? Or we should all just, go in bed with wrongdoing and corrupt activities? He's my brother, he's my friend.
Next round of questions. Next round of questions. Give it to the gentleman. And then after that, who is behind him? The lady. Okay, Bintu. And then we'll come to you. Okay, 3.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. I work with the National Tribute newspaper. People say that since the MPP took over from office, we've been holding press conference to address these very serious issues. So when at all are you going to demonstrate, which is a legitimate move to make, to send your grievances? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Rahina Bintusana. I work with Munti FM. Mr. Chairman, my question is, most of the issues that you bring, when it comes to the limelight and you are questioning the MPP, they will tell you that when the MPP was in power, they were doing the same. For instance, the Ken Bond issue and the YA issue. We were told that it's job for the boys, so if they are sacking them, they should go. They must tell their party people. And the other one I want to know is the ROPA. The MPP is pushing the Electoral Commission to implement it, even though it's not part of this. But I want to know the take of the party as far as the ROPA is concerned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think 2. Let me start with ROPA. Indeed, ROPA has been on the table before today. And I remember we have demonstrated against ROPA when we were in opposition earlier. The questions about ROPA still remain. And I'm sure when they find answers to those questions, we will all agree that ROPA should happen. The questions about ROPA are there. They are burning. I won't waste your time today. But I'm saying that who becomes the returning officer in the UK or in Japan? I'm in Afghanistan. I live in Kandahar. I mean, will I have a returning officer there? Or if I'm in London, would you ask me to come from, what do you call it? Sorry, to come and vote in Highgate? Who is going to be the return? Is the nation strong enough to bear those costs? If you go to the continent of America, and I live in British Columbia in Canada, where am I going to vote? So the cost is one major question that we must be answering as Ghanaians. Yes, if we can bear the cost, if we can make it transparent, if all of us as observers will have our teams from here to go to every city, and the nation is prepared to pay for us to go and be polling agents, we will go. Director of elections, am I right? Yes.
I'm afraid from outside.
Yes. Yes, so that is for ROPA. We'll come to it. It's a major thing. Yes. And if you talk of job for the boys, you see, you want to give your boys job. Because it's not by sacking other people. Create the jobs. Yes. Create the jobs. NDC wanted to create jobs in the agriculture sector. We went for a facility, and just when the facility will mature, NPP won power. They call it planting for foods and jobs. I mean, those are jobs that they are not sacking people from. You see what I'm saying? Yes. But if we have started that project, and people who were consultants, people who conceived it, people who were committed to it, you come and drive them away. It's wrong. Create jobs. They said they will create jobs. They should create the jobs and put their people there. Even that one, we are entitled to it as Ghanaians.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It's not their money.
So when we are talking of job for the boys, let it happen by all means. I think demonstration. You are asking when? The time will come. I mean, when we keep holding press conferences, we are giving indications that we are being patient. We are being patient. And we think that governance is a human activity. Mistakes could be made. Exactly. So when we come here, we are not armed. We are armed with our mouths, our tongues. We shout that the listening government must listen. They should not drive us into the streets and say we are demonstrating.
All right, so that's the national chair of the National Democratic Congress. They are also giving their own assessment 6 months on of the Nana Akufo-Addo government. We'll bring you a fuller detail of that press conference in our subsequent bulletins here on TV3. Let's go back to Parliament now. And Member of Parliament for Pru East, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, has called for the Ministry of Transport to take over the management of the Volta Lake Transport Company. According to the Member of Parliament, the Volta River Authority itself, which is the parent body of the Volta Lake Company, is financially handicapped, therefore making it impossible to take care of the company.
Dr. Kwabena Donkor, in a statement on the floor of Parliament, said a well-resourced Volta Lake Transport Company would add tremendous value to the nation's wealth. He laments the over 2 million people who depend on the Volta Lake Transport have suffered for years. The Pru East MP believed the Volta Lake Transport Company would be better off under the Ministry of Transport than the Volta River Authority, which he said is financially handicapped.
The Volta Lake Transport Company, representing an attempt by the Ghanaian state to mitigate the transportation leg of the suffering of the riverine people, must be given a permanent home in the Ministry of Transport as a full-fledged agency. The state should take over the Volta River from the Volta River Authority, the equity ownership of the company, and put it on the same pedestal as the Metro Mass Transport Company.
MP for Karachi West, Helen Intoso, lamented till date some communities in and around the Akonsombo Dam have still not been connected to the national grid.
I will urge the Ministry of Energy to give this district the priority to build them at least rural electrification projects.
According to MP for South Dartey, communities which were affected during construction of the dam were yet to be resettled.
Tongotonakwe, for instance, Mr. Speaker, was built to be built about 126 new settlement houses. The VRA built only 10 and abandoned the project site.
I believe the Ministry of Transport and Ministry of Roads and Highways will have to collaborate very well to make sure that these lakes are taken care of, dredging is done properly, we secure good ferries.
The Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu and Deputy Majority Leader Adjoa Safo called for a public-private partnership in revamping the lake transport system.
Still in Parliament, the Works and Housing Minister Samuel Atacha says the contractor working on the Blekusu Hovi Sea Defence project is stockpiling and will resume work soon. He was answering questions on the floor of Parliament earlier yesterday.
The Works and Housing Minister was in Parliament to respond to questions by MP for Keta, Richard Kwashiga, on the implementation of the $40 million Blekusu Hovi Sea Defence project in the Volta region. About 300 persons were recently displaced by tidal waves in the area. The minister said completion work is about 50% at a cost of over $17 million. He indicated the contractor is currently stockpiling considerable amount of rocks to continue the project.
In his answer, the last sentence, which says the contractor is currently stockpiling considerable amount of armor rocks to continue the project. If he can explain that aspect of his answer, because as far as I know, the contractor has moved out of sight.
The stockpiling is not done at the beaches. That is why you might be laboring under the impression that they stop working. The stockpiling are normally done outside, and then they are carted to the right places when they have enough of the rocks.
The Trade Minister, Alan Chermaten, was also in the House to respond to questions from North Tong MP Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa on the progress of work on the private participation in the future of Volta Star Textiles Limited at Juapong. The minister said Bullion Group Consortium, which won the bid in 2016 to restructure the company, had its contract abrogated and a tender process will be reopened to potential investors.
The ministry indicates that they have asked PricewaterhouseCoopers to reopen the entire bid. I want to find out from the Honourable Minister if they consider the option of approaching the other two companies that were shortlisted.
If the second bidder had a value less than the value that was placed on the company, then the company's proposal was not responsive to the bid. So, technically speaking, it would be inappropriate to invite the second bidder.
Away from Parliament now, the Accra Regional Police Command has impounded 446 unregistered motorbikes and 56 unregistered vehicles in a massive operation following the murder of a police officer at La Paz in Accra. The Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apiutu, ordered the arrest and prosecution of persons who do not have proper registration in a wireless message that was sent to all police commanders in Ghana. Police personnel have been stationed at vantage points on major streets of Accra since the directive was issued. And since that was earlier last week or late part of last week when the directive was issued, 446 bikes have been impounded. That's a whooping number. We'll try to get the rationale behind it and whether or not they intend prosecuting all these persons for court or after their own inspection might release the motorbikes back to the owners. We'll keep you posted here on TV3. Azizanya, a community in the Greater Accra region, have arrested some fishermen engaged in light fishing. The fishermen arrested are said to have come from Adan coastal area. Now, the Fisheries Act, Act 625, prohibits the use of light in fishing. And what we know is that some persons have been arrested following that development. Edward Amesimaku is a fisherman from Azizanya and has joined us via phone to let us know how they went about the operation to arrest these persons.
My name is Amesimaku from Azizanya, Adan.
Yes,
we were aware that there is light fishing, the bad practice of fishing in the Adan area. This morning, we were trying to go to the normal fishing when we saw more than 40 boats that were engaged in the light fishing. So far as I am concerned, I ordered the men to arrest them. But with the struggle, some of them ran away from the escape. But we were able to arrest one boat with the name Ninth of Power this morning.
And how many people were on that boat?
In that boat, there were 13 in number.
So you have arrested 13 persons who were on one boat?
Yes.
But then you saw about 40 boats in the morning when you got there?
Yeah, we saw about 40 boats.
All right. How did you know that what they were participating in was light fishing? What were they doing specifically?
It is clear thing. You can identify them with the light, the bulb on the boat, generator, and there is a small boat on it.
Okay. And so these 13 persons you have arrested, what do you intend to do next with them?
Because we cannot do anything, we call in for the police to come and take them to the police station. And as of now, I can assure you that they have been in the custody of the police.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. They've done what?
We have given them to the police.
To the police.
Handed over them to the police.
Okay. And my last question is, how regular or how frequent is this issue of light fishing in and around Azizanya?
It's like every month they have been going since, I can't remember the number of days now, but it has been doing every day. It has been every day, every month, except Tuesday in the weeks.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us, and certainly we'll come back to you when you have some further detail on this. And we are told that the police have taken custody of the 13 persons arrested on a boat earlier today around Azizanya for light fishing. TV3 will keep you posted. Away from that, though, 8-year-old Abu Sharifa needs 19,000 cedis to undergo surgery at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. She has a brain tumor and is asking for some assistance.
Abu Sharifa, who lives with her parents in Asante, Abuakwa in the Ashanti region, has a brain tumor which was detected in the last 6 months. Her mother recounted Sharifa after returning from school one day complained about intense pain in her body, claiming that was the beginning of her sickness. The condition deteriorated, resulting in her inability to walk. Sharifa can neither speak nor see clearly. She cannot swallow food, compelling relatives to feed her through the nose. Her parents have spent all they have on her and now wants public support. Abu Sharifa needs 19,000 cedis to enable doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital operate on her. People touched by her condition should kindly send their donations to TV3's Social Support Fund account 6010603927 at any Zenith Bank branch or send their donations to the premises of TV3.
This is still Midday Live on TV3. We'll be back with business. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the very latest in the world of business. My name is Pa Kwesi. Thanks very much for joining us. And in our very first story, information available to TV3 indicates that some 50 to 100, both senior and junior customs officials at the Tema Customs Excess and Preventive Service collection point have been interdicted and will be prosecuted based on investigations conducted by the Bureau of National Investigation since 2012. Now, joining us on the phone lines is my colleague Josephine Frimpong to give us more updates on this. Josephine, what more can you tell us about this latest development?
Right, Pakwesi, since morning till now, there has been some seeming tension at the Tema Steps collection point, where usually you have the freight forwarders and those shippers coming to pay their duties there and clear their goods. What is happening is that 50 customs officers made up of senior and junior staff, a list has come out. I'm yet to intercept this particular letter of them to be interdicted and prosecuted based on an investigation done by the BNI at the port here since 2012. So, Pakwesi, what is currently happening is I'm trying to get the authorities to speak to them on the issue, but they have been locked up in a meeting since morning till now. But we have a few skeletal number of customs officers who are ensuring that the process goes all smoothly so that there will not be any congestion here at the collection point here, Pakwesi.
All right, thank you very much, Josephine Frimpong, our reporter there at the Tema Port, bringing us to speed with latest development there. We're told between 50 to 100 staff officers of the SEPs have been interdicted upon investigations conducted by the Bureau of National Investigations. We're sure to bring you latest developments on this story. To other news now, and an industrial empowerment summit to be held in Ghana has an ambitious target of establishing 350 factories by the end of the year. Well, the first 50 factories are expected to be activated in the Ashanti region in support of government's district industrialization program. Well, the Kumasi Technical University is partnering the Constellar Institute for Creative Studies to generate some 7,000 jobs by March 2019. Kofi Asiedu-Dartey speaks to the project managers on how the scheme will help address Ghana's unemployment situation.
350 jobs. Is this not too ambitious? Right. Thank you very much. That's a very good area to look at. I think that 350 jobs is not too ambitious. It depends on the way it has been structured. And they're looking at what Constellar incubating program have established. I believe that the 350 jobs is easier to create, and we can go beyond that level.
So what sort of jobs are we talking about?
Thank you very much. Now we are looking at the area of feeding and health. And in the area of feeding and health, we are looking at having an industry or factories in the area of agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, kitchen equipment, and so many more. And that will give you 3 areas of factories to be established. Now, in terms of the clothing and fashion, we are looking at a factory in the area of fashion and accessories design that will actually create footwear design, handbags, and all that. That's also another area of job to be created by a district. Not only that, we're also looking at the area of education and training. In the area of education and training, we are looking at a factory that will be more into stationery. And then in terms of stationery, we're also looking at the educational tours in terms of producing pens, pencil, folders, educational software, school bags, and all that. That also creates another job for the people, and that's also in an industry or a factory of itself. Not only that, looking at housing and accommodation, there are so many things that are supposed to go into housing. Now, looking at the area of furniture design, you look at the area of electricals design and all that. These are the things that you import them outside the country. Now, Constellar is now coming out with these kind of factories, not necessarily creating a big, but in a small way, having a furniture design factory, having an electrical design factory, and these things is going to support the accommodation and housing problem of Ghanaian market and the Ghanaian economy. If you're looking at the area of transport and the communication, that is situation that you look at it, people actually have the repairs and all that going on. Now, Constellar is taking it upon itself to look at the automobile and transport design factory, and that will give a lot of people jobs. So I believe that still can go beyond that. Now, if you're looking at the area of in terms of phones, tablets, and all that, that's looking at the telecommunication devices. Constellar is looking at establishing a factory that will be more into the production of phones, into the production of tablets, into the production of computer, and I believe that it can give a lot of people jobs to do. And these are all the categories.
Indeed, the categories are enormous. Yes. But how is this linked to the launch, the national plan, that's entrepreneurship and innovation plan? How does this fuse into this government initiative?
Yes, if you are looking at government initiative in the area of national entrepreneurship and innovation plan that was launched last week, is to be able to create jobs to the extent that the individuals can have their own jobs, so that they will not put pressure on the government so that we don't have it. So it's a training that is linked to this one, because it's a training that Constellar is going to offer to all participants to train them and give them the necessary skills that they can go into their own establishment, they can go into their own businesses and all that, and that is linked with the government initiative of having entrepreneurship in the economy.
Dr. Joseph Ayunsu is with the Kumasi Technical University.
Well, that's all for the very latest in the world of business. My name is Parkwis Yasari. Thanks for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website, 3news.com. Next is the very latest in sports with Yao Ofosulabi. Hi, good afternoon. You're welcome back to Midday Live. It's time now to do sports. My name is Yao Ofosulabi, and on to our first story. Ghana coach Kwasi Appiah and his assistants are about to get paid finally after 3 months on the job, after the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation released $750,000 as part of $1,500,000 support package for sports, development and other activities. Appiah and his assistant Ibrahim Tanko have not been paid since taking charge of the Black Stars at the start of May because of uncertainty of GNPC's continuous support for the Ghana Football Association. But with that support now effectively channeled through the ministry, the Ghana boss can expect a salary stress to be over. Now, there had been considerable pressure on the ministry to settle the outstanding salary issues, but the release of the first installment means that can now be taken care of. To our next story now, and the Africa Cup of Nations could take place outside Africa in future if the Executive Committee ratifies recommendations by the TV and Marketing Group at the Africa Football Symposium in Rabat, Morocco. The group's recommendation after a 2-day workshop includes backing the expansion of the Nations Cup from 16 teams to 24 teams and controversially reversing 3 or 4 of those places for invited teams. The group is also recommending that the 2023 edition of the tournament should take place in places like China, USA and Qatar, since they have all the required facilities in place. That recommendation has been roundly condemned on social media, but the reaction to the expansion of the Nations Cup and the change in timing has been muted. The flagship Africa Cup of Nations is set for an expansion from 16 teams to 24 over a June-July period instead of the traditional January-February schedule. The tournament will, however, remain a biennial event. Now, the Executive Committee of the Confederation of African Football is expected to rubber stamp some of the radical changes at its executive meeting on Thursday. Now, still staying with the issue of AFCON now, and in some quarters, they've labeled it as ludicrous in there because they cannot understand why some of Africa's games should be played outside the continent. But 2 journalists, Mark Gleason and Osasu Obayuwana, have expressed their sentiments on this.
I think the changes in the main are positive. I think moving the tournament to mid-year takes the pressure off the players, and they should be the primary consideration because they are the main actors of the tournament. I'm not so sure that 24 teams is going to be all that wonderful. I think the quality might be a bit poor. It also restricts the number of future hosts, but it does lift, in a sense you get the feeling that CAF really want to make sure this is a quality tournament with good pitches, good refereeing, etc. I think that is a big benefit for African football.
I don't see how you can have an expansion of the tournament for a biannual situation. It's just going to be too unwieldy. Clearly, in my opinion, if you move it to June and July and you're going to insist on 24 teams, it means that eventually it's going to be a tournament that will be played once every 4 years, and that has a lot of financial implications for federations in Africa. It also has an implication for CAF as well, because if you're playing the tournament every 4 years instead of 2, it means you don't get as much income. It's a mixed bag, but I am certainly against switching the time to June, July, and an expansion I think would be very challenging, bearing in mind the fact that most African nations really struggle to get ready for an AFCON.
To our next story now, the family and Kumasi Asante Kotoko have been marking the one-week celebration of its equipment officer, Kofi Asare, after the tragic accident that claimed his life. Asare was the only casualty from the accident that occurred as Kumasi Asante Kotoko traveled back to their city after a league game in Accra. The club's coach, Steve Pollack, and his assistant, Gordon Ablodi, remain in hospital a week after the accident, but conversation has already turned to when the Porcupine Warriors will be ready to play again. Players Eric Donko and Isaac Amakun say it is too early for that.
Different kinds of injuries, so it's from the medical team. So unless the medical team brings out the results of every player, they will be thinking of coming back to the field to play.
Some of our players need to be psyched because as at now, when you talk to them, you see they still have that trauma in them. But as for me, I'm okay.
Let's do some more news now. And the Ghana Deaf Football Federation is still wondering, after several appeals to the National Sports Authority and stakeholders for assistance to acquire air tickets to compete in the Deaf Olympics, which started on Tuesday in Turkey. Now, speaking to my colleague Dora Bedue Champong, the team have expressed their worry of a possible ban should they fail to participate in the events.
The national deaf team are spraying out hopelessly without money to purchase air tickets for the Deaf Olympics Games, which started on Tuesday after raising funds to acquire visas themselves. The 39 physically impaired athletes who are bent on representing the nation and possibly win laurels are expected to participate in 7 events in Turkey. However, the 2005 deaf football champions could also not make it to this year's Deaf Olympics due to financial constraints. Distraught by the situation, Oti Asirifi, the national media coordinator, is pleading with the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, and corporate bodies to come to their aid.
We are challenged with raising funds, and we cannot withdraw from the competition because the consequences might be daring, which include but not limited to a ban, a suspension, or a fine. And worse is that these are young men who are talented and gifted, who have come for months, who want to compete and show their spirit and contribute to the sports development in Ghana. So corporate Ghana, we are crying to you, we are crying to churches, we are crying to our president, we are crying to our ministry, we are crying to the media to reach out to the world and get the response to the needs of persons who are disabled and who want to contribute and place Ghana on the international level. So that's our plea.
Deaf and mute Bernard Kuma, Deputy Secretary of Deaf Sports, promises Ghanaians the team will go beyond their best if they make it to Turkey.
All Ghanaians should expect that we are going to represent to show that true Ghanaians are able to win laurels for the nation. We will also continue to show that whatever that we want there, we are going to bring it to them, that they are all part of the victory.
That's all the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Fusulabi. There's more sports news on our website, 3news.com. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Midday Live continues.
International news now. And President Trump of the United States says he wouldn't have hired the Attorney General Jeff Sessions had he known he would recuse himself from the Russian inquiry. In an interview with the New York Times, the president unleashed an extraordinary barrage of criticism against several of his own top officials, accusing senior members of the Department of Justice of having conflict of interest and expressing regret that he had appointed Jeff Sessions as U.S. Attorney General. In a related development, Donald Trump Jr. and Paul Manafort are to testify before Congress about the Russian case. And elsewhere, a formerly disgraced Thai general has been sentenced to 27 years in prison for multiple human trafficking charges and other offences. A BBC report said Lieutenant General Monas Kangpong, alongside police officers and local politicians, were among dozens jailed for human trafficking on Wednesday in Thailand. And that's it for the news. It came your way from our studio here at Adesawe. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for watching. There is more news on our website, 3news.com. Do have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. Bye for now.